I've worked maintenance jobs for almost 20 years now. You see things. You hear things. You learn that every building has a personality, a history, and usually a few secrets tucked away behind the drywall or under the floorboards. I've fixed leaky pipes in hospitals where people swore they heard voices. I've rewired old theaters where the temperature dropped 10 degrees for no reason, and I've replaced locks in apartment complexes where tenants moved out overnight and left everything behind. I thought I was immune to surprises. I thought I knew all the tricks old buildings play on your mind when you're alone with them in the dark. I was wrong. I took the job at the Blackwood Hotel about 3 weeks ago. It's a historic place, tucked deep into the dense, mist-heavy forests of the Oregon Coast Range, about 40 miles inland from the ocean. It sits at the end of a long, winding gravel road, surrounded by towering Douglas firs that block out most of the sunlight even at noon. It's a 4-story structure built in the late 1920s, all dark cedar siding, steep gables, and wide porches that wrap around the whole building. Back in its heyday, it was a luxury resort, a place for wealthy families from Portland to escape the summer heat and breathe the fresh mountain air. But times changed. Tourism shifted toward the coast or the mountains, and now it's just there. It still operates, mostly catering to hikers, hunters, and people looking for peace and quiet, but it feels frozen in time. My shift is 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., night maintenance. Basically, I'm the guy who walks the halls, checks the boilers, fixes whatever breaks, and makes sure the place doesn't fall down while everyone else is sleeping. It's a quiet job, easy money, or at least that's what the job ad said. The manager, Mr. Hale, is a man of few words. He's lived here for 20 years, runs the place with his wife, and he's got that look people get when they've spent too much time in the woods. Calm, observant, and a little bit distant. When he hired me, he gave me the standard tour, showed me the breaker panels, the boiler room, the supply closets, handed me a heavy ring of keys, and said, "Just stick to the routine, Thomas. Keep to the main paths, don't go snooping where you don't need to be, and everything will be fine." I remember asking him, "Is there anything specific I should watch out for? Old places like this usually have their quirks." He smiled then, a thin, tight expression that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Oh, sure. Doors stick, pipes groan, wind makes noises. You'll get used to it. Just remember, the Blackwood is old, and old things have ways of asking for attention. You just have to know when to answer and when to keep walking." I thought it was just folksy wisdom. Management speak. I didn't realize he was giving me a warning. 3 nights ago, I was down in the basement. It's a sprawling, concrete-floored maze of corridors, storage rooms, utility tunnels, and mechanical spaces. It's always damp down there, smells of wet earth, old wood, and machine oil, and the lighting is sparse. Just bare bulbs hanging from wires, casting long, swinging shadows that follow you everywhere you go. I was looking for a replacement filter for the air handling unit on the 2nd floor. The inventory system is, well, it's non-existent. Things are just stored wherever there's space, labeled or not. I was going through a room at the very back, one I hadn't been in before. It was smaller than the others, almost an office with a rusted metal desk pushed up against the wall, a filing cabinet missing a drawer, and a single window high up near the ceiling, blocked from the outside by ivy and dirt. Dust lay thick on every surface, undisturbed for years. Cobwebs strung between the shelves like lace curtains. On the desk, right in the center, was a notebook. It wasn't covered in dust. That's what caught my eye. While everything else was gray and gritty, this thing was clean. It was a standard composition book, black cover, the kind you can buy at any drugstore, sitting perfectly straight, as if someone had placed it there just moments before I walked in. I walked over, my boots crunching on the concrete floor, and picked it up. It was heavy. The pages were thick, yellowed paper filled with handwriting. Neat, cursive script, written in blue ink. The first page had a title, underlined twice, Official Guidelines, Night Shift Maintenance. Blackwood Hotel After Dark Protocols Only. I flipped it open. I expected to find old repair logs or notes about equipment. I expected instructions on how to bleed the radiators or where the valves were. Instead, I found a list. A long, detailed list of rules. And as I read them, standing there in that dusty room with the hum of the ventilation system vibrating through the floor, I felt a cold knot tighten in my stomach. These weren't safety regulations. They weren't standard operating procedures. These were warnings. Instructions on how to survive the night in a building that, apparently, wasn't just wood and stone and glass. I'm going to write them down here exactly as they were written, because I need someone else to know. Because I'm not sure what's happening here, but I know I can't just walk away now. Here is what I found. The rules 1. You are the caretaker, not the guest. Guests stay in rooms. You move through the spaces between them. Never forget the difference. If you find yourself standing in a room you do not recognize, a room with furniture that looks too new or too old, or a room that smells strongly of perfume or pipe tobacco, turn around immediately. Walk out the way you came. Do not close the door behind you. If you close it, you will not find the handle to open it again. 2. The clocks in the building are set to hotel time. Hotel time does not always match real time. You will carry your own watch. Trust only your watch. If the wall clocks show the same time for more than 45 minutes, or if they begin to run backward, leave the hallway you are in immediately. Go to the lobby. The lobby always runs on real time. The lobby is safe. 3. You will hear footsteps behind you constantly. This is normal. The building settles. The wind travels through the walls. The old wood expands and contracts. Do not turn around to look. If you turn around, you acknowledge them. If you acknowledge them, they will think you are inviting them to walk with you. Keep your eyes forward. If the footsteps speed up to match your pace, or if they sound like they are walking beside you rather than behind, start whistling. Whistle any tune you know. They do not like music. It confuses them. It reminds them they are not supposed to be here. 4. There are 4 floors. Basement, ground/lobby, second, third. There is no 4th floor. The elevator buttons go up to 3. The stairs are marked up to 3. The floor plan only lists 3. If you see a button marked 4, or a door marked 4, or a set of stairs that clearly go higher than the 3rd floor, pretend you did not see it. Do not press the button. Do not open the door. Do not climb the stairs. That floor is closed. It has been closed since 1957. It will remain closed. Sometimes, however, it likes to pretend it is still open. 5. The mirrors in the hallways are polished daily. You will see your reflection in them. That is good. It means the glass is working correctly. If you pass a mirror and you do not see your reflection, or if the reflection is doing something different than you, standing still while you walk, smiling when you are not, turning its head when you look forward. Do not run. Running makes them chase. Walk steadily. Keep your eyes on your own feet until you are past the glass. Do not look back into the mirror. Whatever is in there, it wants to come out. It needs you to open the way. 6. You will sometimes hear knocking. It will come from inside the walls, from the pipes, from the doors to empty rooms. 3 knocks, pause. 3 knocks, pause, never answer. Never knock back. Knocking is how they ask permission to enter our side. If you knock back, you say yes. If you hear knocking that is not in threes, 1 knock or 2 or 4 or a rapid pattern, that is a guest or a member of staff. You may answer that. 7. The temperature will fluctuate. That is normal for an old heating system. However, if the temperature drops below freezing inside the corridors, if you can see your breath hanging in the air while standing next to a working radiator, or if the cold feels like it is touching you specifically, wrapping around your arms or your neck, you are near a door that is open. Find the door. It may be a cupboard, a window, or a doorway that shouldn't be there. Close it, lock it, seal it if you have to. The cold is what comes through before they do. 8. You may encounter other people during your rounds. The night auditor, the security guard, late-night guests returning from a walk. You know them. You have met them. If you see someone you do not know, someone wearing clothes that look out of date, or someone who stands perfectly still and does not blink, do not speak to them. Do not make eye contact. If they speak to you, answer politely but vaguely. Never give your full name. Never tell them where you are going. Never accept an invitation to come see something, or help with a problem in my room. They are not guests. They are just waiting for guests. 9. Lights burn out. That is your job to fix. But if a bulb explodes when you turn it on, or if it glows a color that is not white or yellow, blue, green, or deep red, or if it does not cast a shadow, remove it immediately. Wrap it in black tape. Place it in the quarantine bin in the basement workshop. Do not put it in regular trash. Do not take it outside. Do not look too closely at the light it made. Some lights show things that are better left unseen. 10. At 3 a.m. Exactly. You must make a full circuit of the first floor porch. Walk the entire perimeter. Touch every support post as you pass it. Count them as you go. There should be 37 posts. If you count 38, do not look at the extra one. Do not touch it. Walk faster. Do not stop until you have re-entered the building and locked the door behind you. Do not check the count again that night. 11. Never use the service elevator alone between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. It is old. It gets stuck. And when it gets stuck, it does not always stop between floors. Sometimes it stops nowhere. If you must use it, keep your hand on the door open button at all times. If the lights go out, hum loudly. If you feel a weight entering the cabin with you, do not move. Do not breathe too deeply. It will leave when the doors open. 12. You are here to maintain the building, to keep it standing, to keep the barriers strong. The Blackwood Hotel has stood here for almost 100 years. It stands because we take care of it. It stands because we follow the rules. Do not try to understand why the rules exist. Understanding invites curiosity. Curiosity invites them in. Just follow them. Follow them exactly, and you will see the sun rise again. I stood there in that dusty basement office, reading those words over and over, the silence of the place pressing against my ears. My first thought was, this is a joke. This is some kind of prank left by a previous worker to mess with the new guy. But the notebook wasn't dusty, it was clean. And the handwriting? I recognized it. Or rather, I recognized the style. It was very similar to the scribbled notes I'd found taped to breaker boxes and water valves around the building. Close tightly, do not open, keep locked at all times. I flipped to the back of the book. There was a signature there, at the very end of the rules. Arthur Vane, Night Maintenance, 1978 to 2001, Arthur Vane. I had asked Mr. Hale about the previous guy. He had said, "Oh, old Art?" He retired, moved down to Arizona, said he'd had enough of the rain and the trees. But looking at these rules, I don't think Art retired because of the weather. I put the notebook in my tool bag. I didn't leave it there, I don't know why, but I felt like if I left it, I was ignoring something important, something that was meant for me. I checked my watch, 12:47 a.m. I had hours left in my shift. I decided to treat it like a game at first, just to test things, just to see. I walked out of the storage room, locked the door behind me, and started my usual patrol route. Rule number 3 says you hear footsteps all the time. I was walking down the east corridor of the basement, the long stretch that leads to the boiler room. The floor is solid concrete, hard enough that your steps echo loudly. I stopped walking. I stood perfectly still. Clack, clack, clack. Footsteps, coming from behind me. Heavy, slow, rhythmic. Exactly like boots on concrete. I turned around. Nothing. Just empty hallway, swinging light bulb, shadows stretching long and thin. I turned back around. Clack, clack, clack. Louder this time, closer. My heart did a weird little flip in my chest. I remembered the rule. Do not turn around. If you turn around, you acknowledge them. I kept walking. I forced myself not to look back. And as soon as I started moving again, the footsteps synchronized. They matched my pace exactly. When I walked fast, they walked fast. When I slowed down, they slowed down. It was like a mirror, but located 10 feet behind me. I remembered the next part. If they walk beside you, whistle. I started whistling. Just a simple tune, Amazing Grace, the first thing that came to mind. The change was instant. The footsteps stopped abruptly, as if whoever or whatever was following me had slammed on brakes. The air around me shifted, pressure dropping, feeling suddenly lighter, emptier. I walked the rest of the way to the boiler room in silence. Alone. That was the first test. Then came the clocks. I went up to the second floor. Long, carpeted hallways lined with doors, numbers gleaming in brass. There's a big round clock at each end of the corridor, mounted high on the wall. I looked at my watch. 1:22 a.m. I looked at the clock at the west end. 1:22. Correct. I looked at the clock at the east end. 1:22. Correct. I did some work there, changing a light bulb in the hallway sconce, checking the pressure gauges on the heating pipes. Took me about 10 minutes. I checked my watch again. 1:32 a.m. I looked up. West clock, 1:22, east clock, 1:22. 10 minutes had passed for me. 10 minutes of work, of movement, of sound. But the clocks hadn't moved. They were frozen. Exactly as rule number 2 described. If the wall clocks show the same time for more than 45 minutes, go to the lobby. I didn't wait 45 minutes. I didn't want to find out what happened next. I turned around and walked straight to the stairs, down to the ground floor, into the lobby. The lobby is grand. High ceilings, crystal chandeliers covered in plastic sheeting, plush furniture, a massive fireplace made of river rock. It feels different here, open, bright. Even with only half the lights on, it feels solid, real. I looked at the big grandfather clock standing in the corner, the centerpiece of the room. 1:33 a.m., exactly matching my watch. I stood there for a long time, just breathing, listening to the tick-tock, tick-tock of that heavy pendulum. It was loud, rhythmic, grounding. Outside the tall windows, the Oregon forest pressed close, dark and wet and silent. Inside, I was safe, just like the rule said, but I couldn't stay in the lobby all night. I had a job to do, and now I had rules to follow. I went back up, but I took the main stairs, not the elevator. Rule number 11 was fresh in my mind. Never use the service elevator between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. It was 1:45 now, getting close to that window. I decided I'd just avoid the elevator entirely tonight. Better safe than sorry. I was walking along the 3rd floor. This is the top floor, usually the quietest. Most of the rooms are empty this time of year. I was checking the fire doors, making sure they latched properly. That's when I saw it. At the very end of the hall, past room 312, there's a turn to the left. I've been here 3 weeks. I know the layout. I know what's there: a linen closet, a utility hatch, and the stairwell. Tonight, there was a door there I had never seen before. It was painted the same dark green as all the others. It had the same brass number plate. 401 401. My throat went dry. My hands went cold inside my gloves. Rule number 4. There is no 4th floor. If you see a door marked 4, pretend you did not see it. I stopped walking. I stood perfectly still about 20 feet away from it. The door was slightly ajar. Just an inch or two. I could see darkness inside. Not the normal darkness of an unlit room. This was darker. It looked like a hole cut out of reality. No shapes, no shadows. Just black. And from inside that gap, I smelled it. Perfume. Heavy, sweet, old-fashioned. Like roses and something burnt. Exactly what rule number 1 mentioned. A room that smells strongly of perfume. Turn around immediately. I didn't look too long. I didn't try to see inside. I didn't wonder who was in room 401, or how it had appeared there, or where it led. I turned around. I walked back the way I came. I did not close the door behind me. I wasn't even touching it, but I made sure I never looked back at it. When I reached the middle of the hallway, I glanced over my shoulder quickly, just once. It was gone. Just the wall. Just the linen closet. Just the normal hotel. But the smell lingered in my nose for a long time. Sweet. Sickly. Old. That was when I realized this wasn't a prank. That was when I realized Arthur Vane wasn't just a weird old guy. He was a man who had spent 20 years keeping something bad from happening, and he wrote down exactly how he did it. It's 2:51 a.m. now. I'm sitting in the workshop down in the basement, the door locked, the lights on bright. Oh, I'm writing this down because I need to get it straight in my head. In 9 minutes, I have to do the perimeter check, rule number 10. Walk the porch. Count the posts. 37. I'm terrified I'm going to count 38. I'm terrified of what happens if I do, but I'm also terrified of what happens if I don't go, because according to Art's rules, this place doesn't just run itself. It needs maintenance. It needs me to do these things. To touch the wood, to check the doors, to keep the barriers in place. I look at the notebook lying open on the table next to me. The last rule again. Follow them exactly, and you will see the sun rise again. I'm going out there. I'm going to follow every single one. I'm going to be the best night maintenance man this hotel has ever had. Because whatever is happening here, whatever lives in the spaces between the walls, whatever walks in the shadows, whatever waits in the rooms that shouldn't exist, it's watching me, and it's waiting for me to make a mistake. It was 2:59 a.m. when I stepped out onto the wide wooden porch that wraps around the entire first floor of the Blackwood Hotel. The air outside was thick with mist, cold and damp, smelling of pine needles, wet bark, and rich rotting earth. This deep in the Oregon woods, the night doesn't just fall, it settles. It wraps around everything like a heavy blanket, muffling sound, blurring shapes, turning the world into soft, indistinct shadows. I pulled my jacket tighter around me. I had my flashlight, but I kept it pointed down, just illuminating the boards at my feet. Rule number 10 was playing over and over in my mind, etched into my memory. At 3 a.m. exactly, you must make a full circuit of the first floor porch. Walk the entire perimeter. Touch every support post as you pass it. Count them as you go. There should be 37 posts. If you count 38, do not look at the extra one. Do not touch it. Walk faster. Do not stop until you have re-entered the building and locked the door behind you. I checked my watch. 3 a.m. Sharp. I started walking. The porch is built from the thick cedar logs, weathered gray by decades of rain and sun. The support posts are massive, square beams, spaced evenly apart, holding up the heavy roof above. They feel solid, ancient, like the bones of the building itself. 1. I touched the rough wood with my gloved hand. Cold, damp, real. 2. 3. I moved slowly, keeping close to the outer railing. The mist swirled around my legs, drifting in from the trees, making it hard to see more than 10 or 15 feet ahead. Every sound was amplified. The creak of the floorboards under my boots, the drip, drip, drip of water falling from the eaves, the soft, constant rustle of wind moving through the canopy high above. 10, 11, 12. I turned the first corner, moving along the north side of the building. This side faces the densest part of the forest, where the trees grow so close their branches scrape against the siding of the hotel. It's darker here, quieter. Even the wind seems to avoid this spot. I kept counting, touching each post without fail. It felt like a ritual, a duty, and as I did it, I noticed something strange. As soon as I touched the wood, the area around that post felt clearer, safer, like I was pressing a button or locking a latch or re-establishing a connection that had started to fray. 20, 21, 22. I reached the back of the hotel. This section overlooks a small, overgrown garden and the slope leading down to the creek. It's the longest stretch of the porch, straight, unbroken line of posts fading into the mist. My counting became rhythmic, automatic, My hand reached out, touched wood, spoke the number under my breath. Touch, count, step, touch, count, step, 35, 36. My heart rate picked up. Just one more. Just one more and I was done. 37. The right number. The safe number. I reached out. My hand found the rough surface of the beam. 37. I breathed out a long, shaky exhale. I had done it. I had counted 37. Exactly as the rule said, I was safe. I could head back to the door. I took one step forward, moving toward the corner to loop back around to the front entrance. And then, instinct made me glance sideways. Just a quick check to make sure I hadn't missed anything. My blood turned to slush in my veins. Standing right next to the 37th post, between it and the corner, where there should have been nothing but open space and railing, was another post. It looked exactly the same. Same size, same shape, same weathered gray wood. It stood perfectly straight, planted firmly in the porch floor, supporting the roof above. It was only about 6 feet away from the last one. Too close. Wrong spacing, wrong geometry. 38. I stopped dead. I froze mid-step, my hand hovering in the air inches away from touching it. Rule number 10 screamed in my head, if you count 38, do not look at the extra one. Do not touch it, walk faster. I was looking at it. I was looking right at it. And it was looking back. I don't know how I knew. It didn't have eyes. It didn't have a face. It was just a wooden post. But the presence radiating from it was palpable. Heavy. Cold. Waiting. Unlike the others, which felt like part of the building, part of us, this one felt foreign. Wrong. It felt like a tooth growing out of place or a bone bending the wrong way. It felt like something that didn't belong here, but it squeezed itself into existence anyway. And it wasn't just wood. As I stared, unable to look away despite every alarm bell ringing in my brain, I saw details that made my skin crawl. The grain of the wood wasn't grain at all. It looked like skin, stretched tight, and deep in the shadows of the carved texture I saw shapes, faces. Tiny, distorted faces pressed into the surface, mouths open as if screaming silently. The mist around this post was thicker, darker. It swirled upward, wrapping around the beam like smoke, rising higher and higher toward the roof. I remembered the rule again, louder this time, screaming over the panic, do not touch it, walk faster. I tore my eyes away. I forced my head forward. I started walking. Fast, not running. Rule number 5 said running made them chase, but walking at the fastest pace I could manage without breaking into a run. I could feel it behind me. I could feel its focus shifting, turning toward me, following me. It wasn't just a post. It was a door, or a lock, or a guard, and I had just found the one that shouldn't be there. As I moved past the corner, heading toward the front of the building, I noticed the other posts felt different now, weaker, like the extra one was drawing power from them, draining them, making them thin. The wood felt colder, damp, unresponsive to my touch. I didn't count anymore. I didn't look at anything. I just put one foot in front of the other, my eyes fixed on the heavy oak doors of the main entrance looming out of the mist ahead. I reached the steps. I practically threw myself up them. I grabbed the handle, turned it, locked, unlocked, turned it again. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the keys. I stumbled inside into the warm, dry air of the lobby. I slammed the door shut behind me. I threw the deadbolt. I slid the heavy iron bar across. I backed away from the glass, breathing hard, chest heaving, staring out into the dark. For a moment, just a moment, as the mist swirled past the window, I saw it. The 38th post. It wasn't standing still anymore. It was leaning toward the building, leaning toward the door, leaning toward me. Then it was gone, hidden by the fog. I leaned against the wall, sliding down until I hit the floor. I sat there in the dim light, trembling all over. I had broken part of the rule. I had looked at it. I had looked right at the thing I wasn't supposed to acknowledge. But I hadn't touched it. That part I did right. I checked my watch. 3:14 a.m. I had about an hour left until the dangerous window of 2 to 4 a.m. closed. But I knew the danger wasn't going away just because the clock ticked past 4. The Blackwood Hotel doesn't run on normal time. I got up and went to the maintenance closet near the stairs. I grabbed a roll of heavy plastic sheeting, a box of industrial staples, and a can of black paint. I didn't know if it would help, but I knew I had to do something. I had to reinforce. I had to maintain. I went to the second floor. I needed to check rule number 5. The mirrors. There are 3 long mirrors in the upstairs hallway, framed in dark mahogany, hanging opposite the guest rooms. They were installed back in the 1930s to make the place look bigger, brighter. Now I know better. I approached the first one slowly. My reflection was clear, sharp, exactly mimicking my movements. I raised my hand. It raised its hand. I tilted my head. It tilted its head. Good. Working correctly. I moved to the second one. Same thing. Perfect reflection. Then the third one. At the end of the hall, this one was different. The glass looked thicker, cloudy at the edges, like condensation but cold. I stepped in front of it. I saw myself. But something was wrong. My reflection was standing perfectly straight, rigid. I was slouching, tired, shoulders hunched. The reflection stood tall, back straight, chin up. I moved my right hand to scratch my neck. My reflection didn't move. It just stood there, staring out at me, its hands at its sides. Then it smiled. I wasn't smiling. I was terrified. My mouth was a thin, tight line, but the reflection's lips stretched wide, wider than a human mouth should go, pulling back to show too many teeth, small and sharp and yellow. Its eyes widened, pupils expanding until they swallowed the iris completely. And then it winked, one eye, slow and deliberate. "Hello, Thomas," I heard the voice inside my head. Not spoken, just understood. Exactly like the entities from the Arctic story, but different. This one sounded like me, but deeper, older. Rule number 5, do not run. Walk steadily. Keep your eyes on your own feet until you are past the glass. Do not look back. I didn't run. I turned my gaze to the floor. I walked, step by agonizing step. I could feel its eyes burning into my back the whole time. I could feel it reaching out, trying to cross the gap between glass and air, trying to step out. When I reached the end of the corridor, I didn't stop. I went straight to the supply room, grabbed the roll of black construction paper and a bucket of adhesive. I came back. I didn't look at the mirror again. I just started covering it. Layer after layer of thick black paper, sealing it tight, making sure no light got through, no image could form. I stapled the edges down hard. I painted over the seams. I turned it from a window into somewhere else, back into just a wall. As I finished the last corner, I heard a sound from behind the paper. thump, heavy, solid, like someone had hit the glass from the inside. Then another. Thump, thump, thump. 3 knocks, then silence. Rule number 6. Knocking is how they ask permission. Never knock back. I stood there, breathing heavy, covered in glue and dust. I wasn't going to knock back. I was never going to open that thing again. I realized then what Arthur Vane meant by maintenance. I wasn't here to fix pipes or change light bulbs. I was here to patch the holes. I was here to keep the world we live in separate from the world they live in. The Blackwood Hotel isn't just a building. It's a border, a membrane, and it's getting thin. I went down to the basement next. I needed to check the boiler room. This is the heart of the place. If the heat goes out, the pipes freeze. If the pipes freeze, they burst. And according to the rules, cold is bad. Cold is the signal. Rule number 7. If the temperature drops below freezing inside, if you can see your breath, you are near a door that is open. The basement was cold, colder than it should be. I could see my breath pluming in front of my face as I walked toward the big iron boilers. They were running. I could hear them rumbling. I could feel the heat radiating off their metal casings. But the air temperature was still dropping. -3 degrees Celsius. My thermometer read. Inside, next to a working furnace. I walked through the corridors, checking every door, every hatch, every window. Everything was locked, everything was sealed. Until I got to the old coal chute. It's a large metal door set into the foundation, sloping down from the outside ground level, used decades ago to deliver fuel. It's been welded shut for years. Or at least, it was supposed to be. I shone my light on it. The welds were broken, snapped cleanly. As if someone had bent the thick steel bars like taffy, the door was ajar, just a crack. And pouring out of that crack was cold. Not just cold air, cold energy. It looked blue. It looked heavy. It flowed along the floor like water, pooling around my boots, freezing the concrete where it touched. And I heard it. From outside, down the chute, from deep underground or deep in the woods or deep somewhere else. Voices. Not speaking words, just murmuring. Hundreds of them. Low, wet, hungry sounds. Open, open, let us in. It's cold out here. We want to stay at the hotel. We have reservations. Room for us. Room for everyone. Rule number 1. Never open doors you don't recognize. Close it, lock it, seal it. I grabbed the heavy crowbar from my belt. I jammed it into the gap. I pried the door shut. I took the heavy-duty C-clamps from the workbench and clamped it tight. I took sledgehammer and metal stakes and drove them through the hinges. I poured quickset concrete into the gaps. I didn't care if I ruined the door. It wasn't needed anymore. It was a breach. As the concrete hardened, the temperature began to rise. The blue mist evaporated. The voices faded back into the distance, replaced only by the hum of the machinery. But I knew that wherever that chute led, they were trying harder now. I looked at my watch, 3:55 a.m., almost 4, almost the end of the danger window. But the danger wasn't numbers on a clock, the danger was attention. I had covered the mirror, I had sealed the chute, I had walked the perimeter. I had seen the extra post. They knew I was here. They knew I was watching. I went back to the workshop, back to the notebook. I flipped further in. There were more notes, scribbled in the margins, additions Arthur Vane made over the years. Do not answer the phone in the empty office. It rings sometimes. It is not the front desk. It is them calling room service. Do not read the names in the old guest register, the ones from before 1960. Those people didn't leave. They're still waiting for their keys. If you find keys that do not fit any lock, leave them on the porch rail. They belong to whoever dropped them. And at the very bottom, written in shaky, hurried handwriting, dated just before he supposedly retired. It gets harder every year. The walls get thinner. They learn faster. They learn to mimic us. They learn to build their own rooms. They learn to add posts. They're waiting for us to forget. They are waiting for us to break a rule. Just one. Just one mistake, and they flood in. Don't let them in. Please, whoever reads this, don't let them in. This place is old. It holds things. It holds them. Keep the lights yellow. Keep the doors locked. Keep walking. And never, ever acknowledge the fourth floor. I sat back in the chair. The weight of it all settled on me. I'm just a maintenance man. I fix things. I keep things running. But now I know what I'm really maintaining. I'm maintaining the separation between our world and whatever exists in the dark spaces, the forgotten places, the old buildings that time forgot. It's 4:12 a.m. now. The sun won't be up for another 3 hours. I have a long shift ahead of me. I have to check every floor. I have to make sure no new doors have appeared. I have to make sure no extra posts have grown. I have to make sure none of the lights have turned blue or green. I looked at the list again. Rule number 8. You may encounter other people. Do not speak to them. Never give your full name. Never accept an invitation. Just then, I heard footsteps coming down the basement corridor. Heavy, slow, rhythmic, not the echo of my own steps. Real footsteps. Clack, clack, clack. "Thomas?" a voice called out. Soft, familiar, Mr. Hale. The manager. He stepped into the doorway of the workshop. He was wearing his usual clothes, flannel shirt, jeans, heavy boots. He smiled at me. It was the same smile he gave me when he hired me, but his eyes were completely black, no white, no iris, just solid dark void. "Thomas," he said again, stepping closer. "I heard you were working hard tonight. Good man. Come with me, I need you to see something. I found a room we haven't opened in years. It's beautiful. You'll love it." He held out his hand. His fingers were too long, too many joints. "Come on, Thomas. Don't you want to see what's inside? Don't you want to see the fourth floor?" I stood up slowly. My hand went to the notebook in my bag. I remembered the rules. I remembered Arthur Vane. I remembered the 38th post. I didn't take his hand. I didn't tell him my full name. I didn't follow him. I started whistling. Amazing Grace, loud, clear, right in his face. His smile faltered. His skin rippled. The shape of him shifted, blurred, became something tall and thin and sharp. He hissed, a sound like tearing metal, and backed away into the shadows. "Next time, Thomas, next time you won't see us coming." And then he was gone. Just empty corridor, just the hum of the machines. I stood alone in the light, heart hammering, ready for anything. I have 3 hours left until sunrise, and I'm going to spend every second of them doing my job. Because I'm the night maintenance, and I know the rules now, and as long as I follow them, they stay over there, and I stay over here. But God help me if I ever forget one. The rest of that shift passed in a blur of vigilance and ritual. I walked every corridor. I checked every lock. I counted the posts again from a distance. Still 37 visible, but I knew the 38th was there, hiding, waiting for me to get close enough to acknowledge it. I covered every reflective surface I could find. I sealed every crack, every vent, every gap where cold air might seep through. When the first gray light of dawn finally started filtering through the dense trees, turning the black sky to deep indigo, then pale blue, then gold, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders that I hadn't even realized I was carrying. The atmosphere of the hotel changed instantly. The pressure in the air vanished. The shadows retreated back to their corners, becoming just shadows again, not things waiting to step out. The clocks on the walls all suddenly ticked in sync, showing the correct time. The footsteps stopped. The whispering ceased. Daylight came, and the Blackwood Hotel became just a hotel again, old, creaky, damp, but safe. Mr. Hale came in at 7 a.m. sharp. He looked normal, perfectly normal, eyes clear, smile genuine. He asked how the night went, if there were any problems, if anything broke. Quiet night, I told him. I didn't mention the mirror. I didn't mention the coal chute. I didn't mention the man who looked like him with black eyes and 2 long fingers. Just the usual noises. Old building, you know? He nodded. Aye, she makes her presence known, especially when the moon is new or the mist is heavy. You'll get used to it. I went home, collapsed into bed, and slept for 10 hours straight. But even in my sleep, I held the image of that notebook in my mind. I held the rules. I knew I couldn't just quit, I couldn't just walk away, because if I left, who would come next? Some kid who didn't know, some guy who thought it was all stories, someone who would open the wrong door, or touch the wrong post, or answer the knocking. I went back the next night, and the next, and the one after that. It's been almost 2 months now. I know this place better than I know my own house. I know exactly which floorboards creak. I know which pipes groan. I know exactly where the boundaries are thin. And I've learned more. I've learned that the rules aren't just a list. They are a contract, a way of existing alongside something that shouldn't exist without letting it take over. I found more notes in the margins, tucked between pages, written on scraps of paper slipped inside the cover. Arthur Vane didn't just write the rules down. He updated them. He refined them. He learned from his mistakes. Rule number 13, never answer the internal phone. If it rings, unplug it. It is not a guest. Guests use the outside line. This line connects down. Rule number 14, the elevator music is supposed to be classical. If you hear nursery rhymes or hymns or silence, get out. It has stopped somewhere it shouldn't be. Rule number 15, you may sometimes find items left in the halls. Toys, books, photographs, old bottles. Do not touch them. Do not take them. They are bait. Leave them exactly where they are. If you move them, you accept the gift, and you do not want what they give. I found a photo once, lying in the middle of the 3rd floor hallway at 2:30 a.m. It was an old Polaroid, faded at the edges. It showed the front porch of the hotel, taken maybe 40 years ago. Standing on the steps was a man. He looked exactly like me. Same height, same build, same face, but his clothes were from the 70s. And standing next to him, crowding close, were shapes that looked like people but weren't. Blurry and stretched, leaning in toward him, hands on his shoulders, his arms, his head. I didn't touch it. I walked around it. When I came back an hour later, it was gone. Every night brings new tests, new variations on the rules. They change things up to see if I'll slip up. Last week, the elevator buttons had a 0 button instead of 4. I ignored it. 2 nights ago, the perimeter posts counted 36. I knew it was a trick, a way to make me look harder to find the missing one, which would make me acknowledge it. I counted 37 in my head, touched the right ones, and walked on. Last night, the knocking came in patterns of 2, which is supposed to be safe. But it was too rhythmic. Knock, 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 knock. I knew it was mimicking the safe pattern to trick me into opening the door. I didn't answer. They are learning. They are adapting. Because we are the ones who define what is safe and what is not. If we believe 2 knocks is safe, they knock twice. If we believe mirrors are windows, they look out. I understand the core of it now. This isn't about monsters or ghosts or demons. It's about perception. It's about reality. The Blackwood Hotel sits on a place where the fabric of our world is loose, where things from somewhere else can press through, but they cannot fully exist here unless we give them existence. We have to see them. We have to name them. We have to acknowledge them. We have to believe they are real. That's what light did in the Arctic story. It defined space. Here, attention defines existence. If I see a door that shouldn't be there and I think that's a door, it becomes a door. It becomes real. If I see a shadow and think that's a person, it becomes a person. If I see an extra post and think that's real, it solidifies. It becomes permanent. The rules aren't about avoiding things, they are about denying them. Do not look, do not touch, do not speak, do not acknowledge. It's a system of deliberate ignorance. It's a way of saying you are not real. You do not exist. You are nothing. And as long as enough people believe that, they stay nothing. But Arthur Vane spent 20 years here. 20 years of fighting a silent war just by walking around and ignoring things. And I think toward the end he got tired. I think he started to slip. I found the last entry in the notebook yesterday. Hidden in the back cover, written in pencil, faint and shaky. Dated just before he left. I'm old now. I'm tired. It gets harder to not see things every night. Sometimes I catch myself looking. Sometimes I catch myself answering. They know I'm weakening. They told me if I leave, they'll follow me. They told me the hotel is part of me now. I am the lock, I am the key, but I can't stay forever. I wrote the rules down. I left them where they would be found. Whoever comes after me, you are the caretaker now. Remember, the building doesn't need maintenance. Reality needs maintenance, and you are the only one here qualified to fix it. Good luck. Avi. I understand now why Mr. Hale said Art moved to Arizona. That was a lie, or maybe a cover story. Arthur Vane didn't leave. Or if he did, a piece of him stayed behind. Or maybe they let him leave, just to bring someone new in. Someone fresh, someone strong, someone who can see them, but knows how to look away. I'm Thomas Abar. I'm 39 years old. I'm the night maintenance at the Blackwood Hotel. I know what lives in the walls. I know what walks the halls. I know what waits behind the mirrors and what stands in the mist on the porch. And I know exactly what I have to do. Tonight, I will make my rounds again. I will check the boiler. I will walk the perimeter. I will count the posts. 1, 2, 3, 37. I will ignore the extra one. I will keep my eyes on the floor when I pass the mirrors. I will whistle when I hear footsteps too close. I will ignore the knocking. I will pretend the fourth floor doesn't exist. I will maintain the illusion that this is just a building, because as long as I believe it, it is. And if I ever make a mistake, if I ever forget a rule, if I ever acknowledge the wrong thing at the wrong time, well, there's a lot of empty rooms here, and they've been waiting a long time for new guests, but not tonight. Tonight, the sun will rise again. And tomorrow night, I'll be here. Because someone has to be.